Hi guys, welcome back to Chess the Matthew. So on this video, we will tackle about a trap on the Ware opening. The Ware opening start with the move a4. So in my last video, I already show you a trap against the first moves of black, which is to play the move d5 or e5. Then on the second move of white, we will simply place the move e4 and able to win in just 8 or 9 moves against the black. So here we shall see on this video if the black chooses to play on his first move, which is the c5. So after c5, still we will play our second move of white, which is to play the move e4. So here the black plays knight to c6, trying to prevent this pawn from gaining some space on the e5 square. And also after knight c6, it prevents the possible move of white, which is to play the move d4, because we shall see on this position that it has already 2 attackers on that square with only 1 defender for his d-pawn. So here the white plays knight f3, trying to regain some controls on the d4 and e5 with the knight on f3 square. The black plays knight to f6, trying to attack this undefended pawn with the knight of black, and still this pawn on e4 cannot immediately push on the e5 because it was guarded by the knight. And for example, if this pawn will be pushed in that square, then the knight can immediately place knight to g4 and have some 2 attackers with only 1 defender. Even though the white here reinforced some defense, but still there is just queen to c7. So here the white chooses to defend his undefended pawn on e4. And here the black plays the move g6, which has some intention to play the move bishop to g7 to vacate the square on the f8 and able to put his king into safety on the black's perspective. But here the white will simply place bishop to b5, trying to double the c pawn. For example, if black will simply place bishop to g7 and castle on the next move, and then the bishop on b5 was destined to capture the c6 and tries to double up the c file of black's pawn structure. So the black here plays the move knight to d4, tries to stop that idea of this bishop b5 move of white on f3. Here the white immediately captured the knight on d4, and after knight takes d4, c takes d4, we shall see that our knight was under attack by the d4 pawn of black. And here the white plays knight to d5 and tries to control some vital squares on the enemy's camp, but it leaves some defense on our e4 pawn. But after knight takes a4, as a thematic approach from the Ware opening, where we actually sacrifice our e4 pawn just to win the game as quickly as possible, here the white can still win in just 9 moves after the move queen to e2. Because after queen to e2, then it attacks the undefended knight on e4. So here, if black retreats to knight to f6 or knight to d6, still we will play the move knight to f6. Because let's say for example, if the black plays knight to d6, then the white can immediately claim a victory in just 9 moves after knight to f6. Because it is already now a checkmate and wins in just 9 moves. Let's say for example, even though the black plays knight to d6, but it is still the same after knight takes f6 and checkmate in just 9 moves. So let's go back. Let's say for example, after queen to e2, even though the black here plays the move f5, trying to defend his e4 knight with his pawn, but we can simply place here the move d3, trying to give some attack on this knight. And after knight to d6, the black can still play the move queen to e5, trying to attack the undefended rook on h8. And after, for example, after rook to g8, then still there is queen to e6. This queen cannot be captured by this pawn because it was pinned by the bishop, and this queen still attacking the undefended rook on g8. And after, for example, the black plays rook to h8, then still there is knight f6, checkmate, because this knight cannot be captured by this pawn as the first defense of the check, which is to capture the checking pieces. It cannot be captured because it was pinned down by the queen. And the next is the escape of the king. The king cannot escape on this square because there is queen, and with his obstacles on his own pieces. The third defense on the check is to cover, but it was the knight who gives the check. There is no cover. So without that 3 defense against the check, then it is already a checkmate. So just a recap, after the move a4, then the first move of black, which is to play c5, and still we can immediately win with this opening in just 9 moves after the move e4, and tries to sacrifice this pawn later on as it was as his destined life on this opening of Ware Opening. And for example, after e4, c5, e4, knight to c6, knight to f3, knight to f6, knight c3, g6, bishop b5, knight to d4, knight takes d4, c takes d4, knight to d5, knight takes e4, queen to e2, knight d6, and knight f6 checkmate. So in just 9 moves, the white wins easily on this opening. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and please don't forget to subscribe.